Mr. Vance Joseph here, Tom. Now, hear me out. First Broncos team in 50 years to drop 8 in a row. John Elway, quote, embarrassed right now with his team. And the Broncos literally just got crushed by the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, the year started so promising for Vance Joseph, and I actually liked this hire when they made it. I'm like, all right, this is a good hire. This is going to go pretty well. And then it just has completely fallen apart, and I don't know what's going on here with Vance Joseph and Broncos. Everything just kind of seems like a gigantic mess, and I think if Denver continues to struggle, if they don't turn things around late in the year, John O is going to have to say, look, we should be a playoff caliber team. Instead, we're in the mix for a top 5, top 10 draft pick. We got to blow it up. And he's going to restart. And he's going to push the reset button on this coaching staff. And that's why Vance Joseph is number 5 in place of Hue Jackson, who would have been higher up. But he's apparently won the power struggle in Cleveland.
Honestly, Tom, if anybody is quick with the axe out there, I feel like John Elway would be certainly up on that list.
I think he
no nonsense.
It's not about his job security. He almost has a lifetime contract in Denver because of all he's done for the organization. But I wouldn't be surprised if there is a notable change here.
Yeah. All right, so Vance Joseph there at number 5. Number 4, Chuck Pagano. Kills me to say every single time, but of course, he's got to be on this list here. This roster, though, for the Colts, so devoid of talent. And I think at the end of the day, Pagano's going to get fired on Black Monday because, well, he just couldn't make anything happen, but he doesn't have anything.
I get that. He's also been there for a while, and I know he wasn't the GM, but he's also the coach, and he has to develop some of that talent, too.
True, yeah.
So I think that because of the new GM and Chris Ballard, because Jim Irsay has looked for quite a while now into replacing Chuck Pagano, he flirted hard with John Gruden last year, and nothing kind of came of that dance. But I think you'll see Chuck Pagano on the outs this year. I think this is one of the more attractive head coaching jobs. I know that the talent has some issue level there, but I think you have a good, if not great, GM in Chris Ballard. I'm a big fan of his. And you have Andrew Luck, assuming he comes back healthy. I mean, those are 2 great building blocks for you in a GM that knows how to identify talent and a star quarterback, if healthy.
A lot of times, new GM means new coaching staff underneath.
Yes, and I think we're going to see that here in Indianapolis.
Okay, so Chuck Pagano, number 4 in our updated hot seat rankings. As we go through this list here, ladies and gentlemen, we do want you to throw in the comments section, who do you think is the worst coach of the NFL? I'm very intrigued about this. We do have a weigh-in that we'll pull up for the folks at home. Worst coach of the NFL, throw it in the comments. I feel like we can get a differential of answers here, so I'm very intrigued to see what we get. So,
what you thinking for this one, Cam?
Yeah.
Do you have somebody in mind?
Well, it was going to be Ben McAdoo.
Yeah.
But I can't do
easy.
Ben McAdoo.
He does not count.
I am ashamed of Dirk Koetter. I am ashamed of him and the poor job that he has done for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And that transitions me into number 3 in our updated hot seat rankings, Dirk Koetter. Why? Because year in and year out, at least the last couple of years, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been big-time, sexy preseason playoff picks, and Koetter has not been able to really utilize the talent that he has. There are pieces there for Tampa Bay to make them a playoff team. But Koetter clearly can't coach this squad. And since John Gruden left, only Bucs coach that has been signed on for a 3rd year was Raheem Morris, Tom. So longevity in Tampa Bay, not really a thing.
Raheem Morris.
Exactly. You know what I said today? I totally forgot Raheem Morris was a thing at one point. He was one of the younger coaches,
He is currently an assistant at Kansas State. So it's a little bit of a fall from grace from head coach.
Yeah. Well,
former assistant at Kansas State. My bad.
So Dirk Koetter, number 3, Tom. Been a big-time disappointment.
Yeah, so Raheem Morris not too great. Dirk Koetter, I actually kind of like that pick. I like that pick a lot because I think I look at the Bucs every week here, and I see Dirk Koetter and the Bucs being outcoached week in and week out. There's talent on that roster, and they're not using it properly. And I think if you're the Bucs, I know you've kind of won a couple games as of late, and you've kind of gotten out of the top 5 draft pick range, but you're still in the top 10, you got to fire Dirk Koetter. And you got to bring in a coach who can get the most out of Jameis Winston, because that is not Dirk Koetter.
No.
And that's an issue, because if you look at the difference we saw, and I keep mentioning this with Dirk Koetter in particular, Jared Goff going from Jeff Fisher, when Jared Goff looked like the worst first-round pick ever, into MVP, borderline MVP candidate Jared Goff. So you go out, you fire Dirk Koetter, and you get a better offensive-minded coach who can help develop Winston, and you're in a much better shape. So Koetter, gotta go.
He might rise up the rankings too. So he's at number 3. Number 2, Marvin Lewis, head coach for the Cincinnati Bengals. Oh, look at that pouty face Marvin has in our graphic right now. Isn't that perfect?
Also gotta go. Like, Marvin Lewis cannot be the head coach next year. And I emphasize this as the not that he's not going, but that he cannot be, because I wouldn't be surprised if Mike Brown pulls this crap. Because for whatever reason, Mike Brown loves Marvin Lewis. And like, Lewis has had just complete control over the Bengals. And it's almost like this year in particular, Marvin Lewis has actively tried to get himself fired.
Like Monday night, Tom, look at that. The players on the field were out of control.
And that's the thing. This has been Marvin Lewis's tenure in Cincinnati over and over again. There's always been some discipline issues, but it's also the way they lose games. I never once thought Cincinnati was going to win that game, because I've seen it time and time again.
You get it.
Being from Cincinnati. The Bengals find a way to lose games they should absolutely win. They did it earlier this year. The Packers. They have shown up and played well against good teams, and yet they find ways to lose them. And that's the case here with Marvin Lewis. So with this in particular, he has got to go. He's 5-7 this year. I don't care if he wins 7 games. I don't care if he wins 8 games. His contract is up. Please fire Marvin Lewis. Go out and get someone else from the organization. He's been there since 2003. It's time for a wholesale change in the coaching staff. Keep Duke Tobin as your de facto GM. Got to be somebody else.
Marvin Lewis at number 2, our number 1 guy in our updated hot seat rankings, John Fox, 12-32 in Chicago, a .273 win percentage, is the worst in franchise history. This is a storied franchise too.
Couldn't beat the Niners, couldn't beat the Eagles, couldn't beat the Lions, couldn't beat the Packers, couldn't beat the Saints. The Bears are heading in the wrong direction right now. There's some pieces here, but I think the Bears organization knows, hey, you know what? John Fox was a nice bridge for us to kind of, you know, maybe not even like right the ship or steady it, but to be a good placeholder.
Sure.
It's time to go out and get somebody else who can help develop Mitchell Trubisky. I don't think Fox has that capability within him.
Kind of like a McVay-Goff relationship there. A nice, young, energetic head coach there in Chicago would be great.
The issue is for really all these teams is I don't think it's a great year to go out and hire a coach. I don't think there's a Sean McVay this season.
Okay, so there's the summary there in our updated hot seat rankings. Vance Joseph, Chuck Pagano, Dirk Koetter, Marvin Lewis, and John Fox rounding out that order, 5 down to 1 there. We'll see who gets fired next here in the NFL. We already have one firing, Mr. Ben McAdoo.